So this will be another one with a million takes while I try and figure out what this talk is about. And I think it's about all kind of the nuances around replacing a system with another one, and then how we're going to test it and how we're going to understand whether it functions correctly. And so we're going to replace a system with another, right? And it depends on what tier we're going to replace it in and what the complexity of that. So the real question in a lot of cases is what's changed, right? If we're going to replace some function with another, is it the functional paradigm that's changed? Oh, we're going from this transactional model to this other one. We're going from a data-driven system to a process-driven system. Is it the APIs that have changed? Is it the data model that changed? In a lot of cases, it's everything. Depends on whether you're taking the least effort for your partners or you're taking the, we're going to get all the business value we can out of this, no matter what the complexity of that. And there's usually it's in the middle somewhere. Okay, so if we look on the left-hand side, we've got a 4-part system. And I'll probably wander around in this a little bit. If you look at that system, there's basically 2 service tiers, a UI and a data store. And every time we're looking at one of these, we got to decide which tier we're changing and where we want to test at and what we're going to compare. And I'm assuming that in this case, we want to do some amount of live testing or automated testing where we inject traffic into one system, either in production or other places, and then we measure the output of 2 systems to see if they generate similar enough results. Now, in a lot of cases in a new system, not only is the functional paradigm different, but the actual functions are different. And so the comparison might actually be difficult. It's best if you can do a 1-to-1 mapping, but a lot of times you'll do a 1 plus n. Right. So if we look at that, right, if we have in the second diagram from the left, we have 2 systems, we would decide which ones we're going to inject data in to see if it, and then which ones we're going to look at the answer. So the data, let's start from the bottom. The database is a good place to see if we got the results we expected. And part of this is going to be dependent on whether the data model changed, right? If the data model in the 2 databases is different, and a lot of times we try and keep those similar, then we could compare at the data level. We won't inject we won't inject at the data level. So we have injection and we have probing, like where we're going to find out what the differences are. So if we move up the stack at the API tier, the database is a place we could look for changes. The API tier is a place we could inject changes and look for changes and then test against those. And the same for BFF, right? Back end for front end. So the front end tier is the top 2 tiers. It's got its own service tier that calls the API tier. The BFF might be a good place to do this. If you think about it, if we keep the same user interface, then the split for functional behavior happened below that. We might be able to query and read from the user interface. Inject and query from the user interface of the BFF tier, and that'll give us a common place. Because if we have a different data model, comparing data models can be different. And if the APIs are different, you can't query using the same API maybe or whatever. So if you think about how this might be implemented, let's look at, I've got 2 kind of inverted. Let's say we're going to replace the back end and we're going to keep the same front end. That actually looks pretty good. We could have a different data model and we could have a different API, but in theory, those are all hidden behind the BFF, the back end for front end. And we're going to keep the UI the same and add capability to the back end to front end to talk to the 2 different API tiers. So in that case, injection and query may be good at the BFF tier, but maybe not. We can talk about it a little bit later. You have the inverted version too, which is I have a really expensive backend system and we've decided to build new business processes on top of it. In that case, I've got 2 BFFs and a new and an old UI and backend for front end. So in that case, injecting the same test at the UI tier, which is really what we want to do because we need to test the UI, that actually might be difficult because the 2 BFFs might be completely different paradigms or have different data models. And so if we inject there, we'd have to figure out a way to convert from one to the other so that we can inject the same thing in both places. And then we could check the results for that either at the API tier to watch what came in, or we could query the API to see what the results were, and we could also look in the database. So this, if the next one is, we have the same thing, right? We got the same systems on the left side. And then we kind of get into the implementation details of how a migration would go. So before I was kind of talking a little bit about, where the splits would be. We kind of have a decision to make where we're going to split this thing. So if we were to keep the same user interface essentially and backend for front end, and this is because you're replacing an existing system that's fully functional, and so now you need a fully functional other system. Man, this is going to go long. So in the second one from the left here, we're actually going to have an entire new API stack, and we've decided to make that work. We can't, the backend for front end paradigm is different, the model's different, the API is different. We're going to build a new BFF adapter, so you can kind of think of us as having a backend for front end, and then a service tier where we're bifurcated there. And so the user interface has no idea that the paradigm's different than the model's different. And in this case, the BFF adapter hides that from the user interface app. So this is a bit of a deal where we're going to basically migrate the backend for front end over time from the existing API to the new one. And we're going to do that with a shim tier in there. And then again, in this case, we would need to decide how we're going to test this. We could inject at the adapter tier tests, right? Or we could, we'd have to decide if we're going to T at the BFF. So you do a transaction, you fetch a policy, and then you, or not policy, but you fetch some data and then you modify it, right? So in this case, we have a couple options here, but it gets kind of iffy. We might actually do two separate stacks and use the adapters. But in this case, the reason we picked this approach is we can have one user interface, and the users of that user interface won't know that we've got different backends and different tiers. So this is a little bit complicated here. And mostly this talk's going to be about complexity. You could also do it farther down. We're going to keep the user interface, not touch the backend for front end. And instead, we're going to do like a strangler pattern where we're going to put a new API on top of the old one. And the new API has adapters basically that would go to either of the two APIs. Why is that cool? Because we could actually inject tests and test the data by looking at the results of those operations at the strangler tier. Why is that hard? Because it implies that the strangler is 100% backwards compatible for the BFF to be able to use it. It's slick because you could do the same operations against two different systems at the API strangler tier, but that becomes complicated because you got to trust that that strangler was 100% compatible. So all of this is the same problem. In a lot of cases, you get multiple user interfaces or batch jobs, or you got other kinds of work that calls these APIs. You might decide to do something else. I've seen this a couple of places. We actually just changed the data model. And then the question was, are we going to build a new API service? In that case, we actually did the second one from the right here, but it's also possible that you might T inside the API tier. We're going to go, I've actually seen this before. We went from a relational store to a what do you call it? An object store, right? So we went from 100 tables to basically a blob. And we needed to run that in parallel and make sure it worked. And so we were able to actually test that at the API tier, and we did dual transactions to the database. And then when we read the data back, we made sure they were the same. This is probably one of the easiest in some ways because the choke point's all the way at the bottom. And the consumable API is identical in all situations. We didn't modernize anything but the data store. The others are all complicated because we changed the consumption pattern, we changed the API, we changed the data contract, and that can be difficult for consumers. All right, so if we look at this a little bit more, this is adding a new level of complexity, like I said, that we would, and I was trying to keep this talk to 10 minutes because nobody watches anything more than 10 minutes. So in this case, when I talked about these above, there was the notion that the system was idempotent and it was standalone and there was no complexity in other systems. That's not the way a real enterprise system actually works. What actually happens is you've got a bunch of downstream systems, partner systems, that a lot of cases get updated. Like, I made a change in this product and you bought a streaming service. Well, we're going to send a note to billing and the billing system is going to be mutated and it's going to create an account for you. And so what does that mean? Well, it means if I'm going to run two systems in parallel and the API tier is going to call out to my third party, my partner team dependencies, then both of these backends, when I run it in parallel. So before I was talking about migration, we're also talking about testing these in parallel. So if it turns out all my partner teams were taking mutations off of me, and again, this is sort of, do I want to test this in a lower environment, in a non-prod or a prod? If I test it in prod, or any integrated environment, then my partner teams are going to see these duplicate transactions. And what are we going to do, right? So one of the options here in the middle is we create two completely different environments, separate stacks, and we test these independent of each other, or we run the same transactions into both of them, depending on the model we picked above. And then all our partners, and because some of these transactions could be complicated, it may not be a good idea to mock. So mocking would be an option here. But if we couldn't mock, we would actually need, wherever we stood up an environment for our API and data, our partner teams would have to stand up partner systems, right? Because like if I were to buy a streaming service in one system and that created something in the billing system, when I bought a streaming service in the other one, if we only let a person have one account, first of all, that would fail, but let's note what that might succeed. And it goes to billing, and now billing sees two bills for the same person, and that might not work the way we want. The other way there that you can deal with that is you could, well, that one's pretty complicated. So you end up with that kind of dual environment. So if you can't do the dual environment because it's pretty complicated, I've seen this before with 20 or 30 systems, another option would be, another complexity or option would be, you actually test the two systems and you have the same model. We're going to buy the same streaming service. We're going to take the same loan. We're going to foreclose on the same house. We would randomize the data or change the data in enough a way that it would look like two different people or two different accounts. And then our partner systems wouldn't know. So this only works in non-prod. Then our partner systems wouldn't know that these were two different people or two different accounts. It would think they're two different accounts, right? And so then when we went to compare the results, we would have to convert those back to the same namespace so that they could be identically compared. So you'd have like Joe got foreclosed on, and then Joe 2 got foreclosed on, and then you'd have to look in all the partner systems, because not only is it our database that's important, but all the partner systems are important to make sure they're getting the right data. And so that's why sometimes, like I said before, we might do the upper tier. The database might not actually be enough. So in this case, I think the options here, if you think about it, when you've got independent, you got partner systems, you can try and mock those. And you got to decide if you're going to do, this is all like an A/B test, right? If you're going to do an A/B test, what are you going to do for all the integration points? You can stood up A and B in two different environments and route traffic to them. Or you could anonymize that data somehow or mutate it in a way that all the partner systems would think they were two different transactions for two different entities. So this is actually, it's pretty complicated. I think what I really wanted to get the point was, let's see, what are the injections and tap points? And what are some of the different topology pieces for this, the way it could be split up? What are some of the parallel pathing that you could do? And where would you do this kind of the split, right, for these to work together? There's this model only one that's sort of interesting. This is actually, in my opinion, I've done this twice. It might be one of the easiest ones. And then we talked about third-party impacts and the different ways to work around that when you're trying to run stuff in parallel. So like I said, and this works in a lower environment. These problems exist in a lower environment if your partner teams are integrated. And of course, it definitely has a problem in production if you've decided you're going to A/B test, parallel test in prod. Then you got to pay more attention to this and decide how you're going to make that work. In a lot of cases, you can't do it in prod because the integrations become too complicated in some cases. So you may end up copying that down to a lower environment and anonymizing it. So that's it. That's what I'm all hopped on, this parallel testing thing. And if I'm going to do a replacement, how am I actually going to know whether it worked? If you have a better idea, I'm super interested. Have a great day.